Hi there, Erin from the Impatient Gardener, and today we're doing something I've been meaning to get to for a long time now, which is a really quick winter tour of what's happening here in the garden. Honestly, there's not that much to look at right now, and whatever there was for winter interest is definitely becoming less interesting at this point. But I thought this tour might be really helpful to sort of help orient you to the garden so that when we do garden tours in the future, which I hope to be better about doing this year, you have a better feel for what's what and what's where. So we're in mid-February here right now. It's about 25 degrees today, and we've actually had some snow. This is actually sort of very normal winter weather that we're having right now. And like I said, there's not a ton to look at, but let's take a walk around the garden and I'll sort of show you where everything's at. So I think you'll see behind me the Limelight Hydrangea. This is why I leave the flowers on all year. This is about the only thing adding any real color out here in the garden right now. So I leave those up for a while. I like them. I also have the winter containers are still going. A lot of people ask me if I do anything to keep my greens looking good. I don't know if it's just because we're colder here, but that is not an issue for me. So I never do anything. They just stay looking good right through the season here. Down here in the garden, which has a lot of snow in it right now, you can see the tiny tough stuff hydrangeas just kind of popping their little heads up. There's a few flowers left on them, but there's something there. And then before we leave the patio, we'll just take a quick swing over here. A lot of people have asked me if I do any winter sowing of seeds, and the answer is yes, I do. I've got all my little bottles parked right here so they don't get buried when we shovel snow. There is absolutely nothing to report here because these are all frozen solid right now. So it's just a waiting game. I have mixed success with winter sowing. Sometimes it works well for me, sometimes it doesn't, but I always figure you're really only out a few seeds. Everything else you kind of have around, maybe a little potting mix or something. Okay, let's take a walk down the path. So this path, and looking out sort of towards our garage, this is one place where I was much better about consciously adding in winter interest. So evergreens, I've got 3 blue globe spruces. One is sort of around the corner here. Last year I had to take out some dead branches at the bottom of one. I liked how it looked so much that I limbed them all up from the bottom, and I like how that looks. These can get quite big over time. Evergreens never stop growing. They just keep going. So, but these have been here for, if I didn't say that already, 10 years. And they're perfect here. I like them. And you are able to trim them a little bit, but you can't do like aggressive pruning on something like that. As we go down the path here, over here, this is a blue magoo spruce, which is sort of sending off 2 branches in opposite directions, which are, it's not the most attractive look right now, so at some point I'll do some pruning, but I bought this as a tiny little plant. It was less than a foot tall many years ago, and it's doing pretty good actually. I'm going to apologize in advance, you guys, for the exposure. I'm sure the camera's having a tough time with it. It is a bright sunny day, and with the white snow, that just wreaks havoc on a camera. So this part of the garden over here, again, we've got another evergreen, which is particularly welcome this time of year. And then the only other thing other than sort of the shrubs and the sort of woody bits that are in this garden that is of interest is this climbing hydrangea against the garage here, which adds some much needed interest in winter as much as it does the rest of the year. Always love those climbing hydrangea vines. They grow, I mean, this is the north side of our garage, so that's growing in pretty much full shade, and obviously it's doing well. If you ever look at this from above in summer, this is a circle of grass here, and so on the other side of that is the little terraced garden that's alongside the deck here. Not much happening here except for some more limelights in the back, and then we've got some alliums that I leave. These are millennium alliums that I leave standing for winter because those little seed heads look so cute. So as we walk around the other side of the house, I think this is where you're going to see the biggest difference from what it looks like in summer, because it's almost unrecognizable over here. So this area behind me, you might not recognize, and that's because you can't usually see it in summer. This is our woods. I don't do much there. I do a little bit of gardening along the edge here. But behind me, this entire area is full of ostrich ferns in summer. They grow quickly and they get they get well over my head. They get about 6 feet tall. And so we don't see any of the cars that the neighbors have parked over there. Right now there is a pile of rocks that's partly on our property that I hope will be leaving soon. And there's some down trees in there that we leave there. I don't mind those being there. So anyways, this just looks completely different in summer, and we don't see any of that over there once this whole area fills in with ostrich ferns. And you can see some of the remnants of the ostrich ferns laying in there. This garden is full of a fair amount of shrubs. Most of these are actually spirea on the bottom here. Behind there is the ginkgo that I pruned in a video a couple videos ago. And this is the Venus dogwood, which sadly is not long for this world. Last winter it sustained a lot of damage in the polar vortex, and there's about one branch that was left living on it. And I think it's this one because I think I see some buds actually on it. But that was it. So this tree will come out this year and I'll have to replace it with something else. It's very sad. I loved this tree. It's a beautiful tree. Just didn't make it through last winter. So this is the west side of our house, and we've got obviously the back side of our fireplace over here in our chimney. This is where we've got the Espalier Asian pear. There's a bunch of poles and stuff involved in it right now because I'm trying to start another tier there, so there's some support there. I hope this continues to do well in this spot. It really is adds some nice interest along this wall. Some more tough stuff hydrangeas below that, and then over there we've got all Annabelles. Those all need to be cut back, but again, I don't mind the brown stems and what's left of the flower heads there. Across from that, over here, we have another climbing hydrangea. This was actually the first climbing hydrangea, and I show this in almost every tour because it looks good in every season. This is, I know it looks like it's growing on a totem pole. That's an ash tree that we had to cut down because of emerald ash borer. We've had to take out almost all of our ash trees, and the rest will have to go at some point. But we didn't want to lose the climbing hydrangea that was growing up it. So if that would ever fall for any reason, it's not going to fall far. So the climbing hydrangea still looks great going up there. Over here is the circle garden, and really you can't even tell it's the circle garden because the snow has covered it all. So all you can see kind of is the trellis, which is looking a little uneven right now. In the middle, a little bit of the bobo hydrangeas and what's left of the boxwoods that grow in there. And then we're walking out towards the end of the driveway, and of course on this side is the screening garden that we made a couple of years ago. This looks really nice in winter, I think. The Hackalochloa grass that's here, this is macra, looks so nice in here. Now it is getting trampled down a little bit by the snow, but it just is nice and golden color in here. In here we've got pagoda dogwoods, which are not going to flower this year because the deer have absolutely been nibbling all the tips. They don't like eating them, but they will nibble the tips. And then we've got dwarf Alberta spruces in the back, and those do well here, and those will fatten up someday. Rich, there's a deer laying right there. Is that not a deer right there? Right there, that's a deer. Yeah. Laying on the ground next to the tree. So that was sort of a crazy thing that just happened as we were shooting this video. I spotted a deer sleeping underneath the tree over there, and well, I don't know how much of this I'm going to put in the video, but basically it got up and it was stumbling around. We ended up having to call the sheriff's department because it was obviously hurt. And you know, I crab about deer in my garden all the time, but I don't ever want to see an animal hurt. And so that was not great, but let's just wrap up this video because we're almost there now. So we are at the end of the driveway now, and this of course is the new area that we're going to be doing for this year. I think what you see standing here gives you an idea of how much I have to remove because none of this was planted here. Over here we've got a ton of goldenrod, which I don't anticipate to completely eradicate, nor do I want to. So some of this will naturally come back, and I'm hoping this area will be natural enough that that will be able to be incorporated into that planting and feel a part of it. Over here, I've got a lot of ostrich ferns. Ironically, several years ago, I dug up several of those ostrich ferns from the other side of the house and planted them here. That's when it was shady. Now it's too sunny over here. They don't like it in all that sun. So that's this area over here. And there's just one area to go yet. So we're gonna run over to the vegetable garden, which you can see just through here. And when we get the new garden done, we will actually have a path right through here over to the vegetable garden. But of course we can get there from other ways too. So let's just quick pop over to the vegetable garden. So here we are in the vegetable garden. As you can see, there's zero to report here. Everything is just doing its winter sleeping here. There's lots of snow on the beds, which will provide some nice moisture in spring. And so that's just sort of the state of the garden right now. Like I said, we are going to try to do a better job about doing regular tours next year. I know you guys really like that. And I'm hoping this helps give you a feel for what it looks like when not everything's here, because it's unbelievable the difference between what it looks like right now and what it looks like 6 months from now.